Well, thank you for coming today. I first off want to start to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Robin, and I have a training company called Housch Solutions Group, and we focus on tailored training. And I was actually asked by this company to come in and teach you all a little bit about what the automotive industry is, understanding it, and what it takes to get into it. So, how many of you here have dreamed of getting the big money by working with Nissan or Volkswagen? Or Tom in the back over there is going crazy, okay? Tom, have you ever thought about how to do it? Okay, sometimes it's kind of like a pipe dream. You know, you think, okay, if I could just work with them, I'd make all this kind of money. Well, we'll talk about that. It's not necessarily reality. It could be reality, but let's talk about the automotive industry, and let's understand exactly the terminology and a few things about it. The automotive industry. Our objectives today are to help you understand the terminology, because like any industry, they do have their own terminology, their acronyms, and this means this. And if there's anything that's difficult is when you go into industry you're not familiar with, and they're talking different acronyms, AIG, PCS, you're like, what in the world? It's like they're talking a foreign language. The automotive industry really isn't that different. But we're going to talk about just the major terms today. We're also going to talk about the key players. Who are the key players in the industry? And when we talk about the key players, you'll know exactly who they are. Competing requirements. What's it going to take for you to compete in this industry as a company? Considering a change. When will they consider a change? Let's say they have a company that they've been dealing with for years. When are they going to consider a change and give you the opportunity to compete? Making the connection. How do you make a connection? Because obviously, if you're looking at Nissan, you can't run up to the door and say, hey, knock on the door, hey, I'm so-and-so with such company, do business with me. They are a federal trade zone, as most automotive manufacturers are. You can't just walk in the door. In 2015 alone, automotive manufacturers made up 2.44 million jobs. The suppliers to the automotive manufacturers were 3.16. Now that's anywhere like Tom's company makes a screw, Dan's company, who turns around and makes seat frames, they made up to 3.16 million in the U.S. In Tennessee, let's talk about home here because that's where we are. We're here in Tennessee, in the volunteer state. Tennessee last year, just last year, we had 900 plus automotive related companies. 900 just in Tennessee. They created more than 6,662 jobs in 2015 alone. That's pretty impressive. What's even more impressive, we have the top three in our state. They're actually going to be adding between the three of them at least another 4,500 jobs in the next year. So you add that to that number. Pretty cool. All right, Tennessee has been named #1 in automotive manufacturing strength 4 years out of 5. We've been beat out by one person, one state. And you know, quite frankly, they beat us in football, but we're better in automotive strength than they are. And that is our rival to the south, Alabama. So, interesting to know. There are 3 terms in the automotive industry that we're going to deal with today. There's the OEM, which is the original manufacturing company, equipment company. They and the Toyotas, the Hondas, the Kias, everybody you know when you go to buy a car. The suppliers, we call them tier suppliers. And there are several tiers. The most commonly are the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. Okay? They make the parts that go into the car. So tier 4 actually supplies a part to tier 3. Tier 3 supplies a part to tier 2. Tier 2 supplies a part to tier 1. And tier 1 supplies a part to the OEM. And then you have the dealer who sells a car to the end user. Okay? For the sake of this, though, today, we all know who the dealer is, whether you like salespeople or not, car salesmen, doesn't matter. We're not going to deal with them today. We're going to set them aside and we're going to deal with the OEMs, the tier suppliers. Okay? In the United States, you'll see here that Nissan, Volkswagen, and General Motors are located here in Tennessee, and they're located in a few other states in the area. Then we're going to bring in a few more. We have 4 that are in Alabama, and then we're going to add in the rest, and you'll see that most of the automotive industry is concentrated in the South and the Southeast. All right? That's why yearly we have what we call the SAC, a Southern Auto Conference, which encompasses all these states and anybody in the automotive industry, whether a tier supplier or an OEM, they get together once a year. All right. This is not your grandfather's automotive anymore. Okay, I know when people used to talk about automotive, I used to think, Grandpa used to come home full of soot, full of grease, nasty. You see these pictures, and here's an old picture depicted here. It looks more like this today. Automated, updated, and unfortunately we still have that stereotype about the automotive industry, and that's why it's hard to get the millennials, like, Mary, your son's 22 years old and he's just graduated from college, and you had to talk to him. He thought about the automotive industry, but he didn't want to go into it because he had that old vision, correct?
Right.
Okay, but when she talked to him, she had an opportunity to show him the automotive side and actually do a plant tour, which some of our local companies will do. He realized it's quite automotive, so now he's in engineering, looking at an industrial engineering degree, is he not?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So, it is, and this is what we need to do. We need to educate, not just here, we're educating on what it takes getting automotive and understanding it, but even our young people need to know. Because they need to know it is a viable industry for them today, and they can use their skills. Okay, when you talk about how the tiers fit into the OEM, the tier 4, tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, let's talk about a product so we can bring it home. You all drove in a car today and you sat down in what? A seat in the car, right? You're sitting in a seat here. In a car, it would start with a tier 3 supplier, forgive me. That would be the people who make the metals, like Tom's company makes a screw, okay? Ryan's company who makes the metal frames. They would be a tier 3 supplier. They would sell their parts to a tier 2 supplier, okay? Who would actually put the seat frame together. That tier 2 supplier would sell it to a tier 1 supplier who would add on the covering to the seat. And that tier 1 supplier is going to sell direct to the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer. And that is how it all works. Now let's say you don't produce parts like Tom and Ryan. Let's say you're like Sally. Sally has an industry. She does cleaning. She's a janitorial company. Sally's been in it for quite a while. She is very successful with one of the OEMs that she does business with. So the OEM is going to go ahead and contract with a cleaning company like Sally's. Okay? So Sally would be considered a tier 1, doing business directly with the OEM. But now Sally has an issue. She doesn't want to go out and get her own people and hire people, so she's going to go to a tier 2 supplier, service company, which would be a staffing company.